Wakfu, my favorite turn-based MMORPG, is doing something incredible. And to celebrate, I'm giving away over $300 worth of in-game subscriptions called boosters, so that you can see if Wakfu is the MMO for you. Check out the link in the description to play, and I'll tell you how to get a free booster soon. Wakfu is a gorgeous, isometric, turn-based sandbox-y, free-to-play MMORPG, currently sitting at a mostly positive rating, with nearly 10,000 reviews on Steam. Wakfu is still a beloved virtual home, and if the number of reviews aren't enough, each city in Wakfu is still bustling with players. Plus, it's like a fusion between old-school RuneScape and Final Fantasy Tactics. Tactical combat, great storytelling, with sandbox features. If those aren't enough, what's so exciting about what's around the corner? For the unaware, Wakfu's combat is balanced around teamwork. Those of us who are cut from old-school MMO cloth recognize this as a fundamental benefit, as your progression is noticeably enhanced by other players. However, as MMOs grow in age, their playable space expands, lowering per capita players per area, and those who continue playing end up causing top-heavy populations. Both of these factors result in fewer players to team up with at lower levels, exacerbating the issue in a feedback loop. However, like Guild Wars 1, in which you can hire NPCs or use your own alts in your party, you can do the same in Wakfu, enabling you to enjoy group content at any level. But this solution comes up lacking because you're enjoying group content alone, sidestepping the original intent of gathering your party before venturing forth. The fantastic news is that Wakfu is opening up a new server on November 2nd with early access beginning October 31st, whose primary emphasis is grouping with others, just like how MMOs used to be. And as we've learned with WoW Classic Hardcore, social interdependency can still be a maintainable model in this modern MMO age of self-reliance and solo-friendly balancing. Mechanically, this server will naturally select for open world groups, since playing alone will eventually become prohibitively challenging. Of course, if you want to play alone, you can still enjoy their other servers. This new server will also have a fresh player-ran political landscape and economy, so there's literally never been a better time to see if Wakfu is right for you. And in order to compensate for not grouping with your alt, the benefit of each booster has been enhanced on this server. While you can play on this server for free, the booster certainly adds value while being extremely affordable. We'll cover these details soon, so if you like turn-based games with group-focused content, then I can't think of a better MMO to try or return to than Wakfu. Yet you may be wondering what specific content awaits you in the world of Wakfu. To begin, there are 18 unique and fully robust classes, each inspired by important characters in the Dofus, Wakfu, Waven timeline, a history we'll cover soon. These aren't functional copies of each other. Each plays uniquely, serves an important strategic and tactical role in combat. For example, the Druid can summon hordes of menacing flora, either creating controlled chaos on the battlefield or leveraging them for devastating attacks. Or the bona fide pet summoning class that brings Pokemon to Wakfu, in that you can catch and train monsters in the world, each with powerful abilities to complement your team's tactics. Alternatively, the Hooper Mage, especially featured in the Dofus movie, whose skills interact with material runes that greatly modify what they do and how they function. Plus, each zone has its own combination of creatures, each providing unique combat puzzles to solve. Wakfu thus does not suffer from the combat feels the same throughout the entire game problem, with which other titles tend to struggle, so each encounter, every step forward, feels like uncharted territory. Not to mention that you actively have to think during combat. Even though I adore Guild Wars 2, you can still defeat veteran mobs without moving and only using your basic attack, so the threat of loss is relatively non-existent. Wakfu actively rewards player skill, intelligence, and creativity, even if its outward appearance is a bright and inviting whimsical world. The list goes on, so if you love great class, combat, and creature design, Wakfu is worth checking out. Okay, but you may be asking, what's the catch? Is Wakfu pay to win? I am very sensitive to monetary policies and have been very vocal about my loathing of item shops in general, especially in my What Went Wrong with MMOs video. However, Wakfu is a rare exception. First, all PvE and PvP content is available regardless of your subscription status. The full main quest, every dungeon, and every PvP mode is completely free. Viewers of my Lord of the Rings Online or Dungeons & Dragons videos may remember commenters experiencing legitimate confusion on what those titles provide for free, and what else needs to be purchased. Wakfu does not have that problem. Moreover, a booster enables you to play the way the MMO was originally designed. If you play as a free player, the advancement pacing is noticeably slower. I think this trade is entirely reasonable, yet with a subscription, you progress at an exciting tempo that is satisfying. You and your ults gain increased experience, your chance of post-battle loot increases, and these modifiers are increased even more on the new server type. This is in part because since you cannot play with your own ult, you are thus missing out on the loot they would have received. However, there is one feature that is granted by having a subscription, and that is engaging with Wakfu's political system. This restriction makes sense to preserve some semblance of the integrity of this system as to not have free accounts overrun the civic fabric of the game. Thus, having a booster does not grant any additional power, abilities, nor mechanical leverage. It simply rewards you more for the effort you put in, like optional health supplements, not to mention how affordable they are, in addition to the range of subscription options you have. Wakfu is one of the most affordable MMOs on the market, and I have over $300 in subscriptions to give away. So regardless of whether you have a booster or not, the world itself is hand-painted and is stunningly beautiful. It's a work of art, literally. Whether you're exploring sand-sunken tombs, sailing the high seas, or flying through the clouds, every scene, each detail is carefully and deliberately designed. And as an added benefit alongside the launch of the new server is also a high-definition upgrade to the game. So the Wakfu universe should look and feel even better. Plus, the world itself is reactive. Wakfu features an ecological system that orbits around player activity, affecting both the flora and fauna. Not to mention the player-ran political system, or the economy that is entirely player-ran. The world is a product of player activity from beginning to end. By and large, you cannot buy equipment from NPCs. You either have to loot them in battle, craft, or buy them from another player. Star Wars Galaxies or Albion Online veterans may find this design choice appealing. Yet, Wakfu isn't an aimless sandbox either. Unlike Ultima Online, it has an engaging main quest that is extremely good for an MMO. The emphasis on story is no surprise, since Ankama, Wakfu's developer, also produced a range of anime productions, including a fantastic full-length movie to several series, covering Dofus and Wakfu. So if you're a lore junkie who loves to consume metagame information, Wakfu has tons of additional content. This narratological arc is part of the larger constellation of material that spans the relationship between Dofus, Wakfu, and Waven. In short, Dofus is the story of finding 6 primordial dragon eggs that bestow great power upon their bearer. Dragon Ball fans should notice a similarity. It's a conventional MMORPG with fewer sandbox elements than Wakfu. Moreover, there is an expansive comic culture around its history, and Ankama released a full-length movie diving deeper into the drama. It's exceptionally popular in France and also has its own anime series. Wakfu picks up where Dofus left off, namely after Ogress collected the Dofus and allegedly flooded the world, splitting each nation into its own island country. The story includes investigating Ogress to discover why the world really flooded and who caused it. Last is Waven. It seems to take place after the events of the Wakfu anime, in which the world is flooded again, yet this time more catastrophically. There is so much water that you must sail from island to island, reforging society one battle at a time. It's still in early access and available to play for free on Steam. If Dofus or Wakfu is not your cup of tea, then Waven may be, so check it out. Now, if you have played Wakfu in the past, yet were confused by certain mechanics, the newbie experience has been overhauled. While I enjoyed the more open-ended and narratologically significant version that it preceded, the pacing, introduction to mechanics, and speed at which you begin engaging with the wider Wakfu world is better. It is split up into 2 parts, a division that I still think is unnecessary. The first bit takes around 45 minutes to complete that teaches you movement, combat, crafting, and engaging with the ecological system. This coverage is great, as these are the main features of the MMO, at which the first tutorial only hinted. The second section takes about an hour more that introduces the main story arc of your character, your personal house, and a few more advanced puzzles that build upon the first section. For a more in-depth view at the older version, you can view my original Wakfu coverage. However, the newer version does have some issues. The explanatory images are in French, so unless you have an affinity for European languages, this may feel confusing. Moreover, there's an instance in which you win by losing without the game preparing you adequately. Additionally, the new tutorial does not fully blend well with the content that comes afterward, because an NPC refers to you crashing into Pappy's house, when you didn't. Only characters who played the older tutorial did. Or after defeating some mobs, you're thrown into a sewer as if you were defeated, yet you overcame them in the battle. If the developers can better bridge these minor discrepancies, the flow would be massively improved. Now, someone who researches the reviews on Steam will notice that the vast majority of negative reviews are under 1 hour of total playtime, and tend to emphasize an issue with accessing Wakfu via Steam. This is why in my coverage of Wakfu earlier this year, I encouraged players to only use the Ankama launcher instead. However, the developers have since updated their Steam integration to address this issue. Reviews after 1 hour continually see a higher average ranking. After 1 hour, 73% are positive. After 10 hours, 79%. And after 20, 80%. In fact, this player admits that while Wakfu is complex, if you insert yourself into the community, it provides an unparalleled online experience that caters to those who enjoy strategic gameplay. Now it's time to give away over $300 of subscriptions. I specifically asked Ankama to give you free stuff instead of paying me to produce this video. Yet they were too kind and provided me with the same type of booster that I'll be giving to you, plus some material goodies. So that's why I had to list this video as a paid promotion, even though they didn't pay me. I was planning on covering this event anyways, so our interests are aligned. Now, there are 9 boosters, 3 of which correspond to each of the following categories: Legendary, Elite, and Hero. All I need you to do is download the game using the link in the description. See if it's for you, and if it is, comment here explaining why you enjoy Wakfu. You're free to post fair criticism too. I just want to ensure that the subscriptions are going to people who will use them. I'll be reaching out to you individually to share which package you have won and how to redeem them. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more MMO content.